Happy New Year. You're like, well, it's kind of a little bit of a week after that, but nevertheless, we're still in a brand new year, and this is a leap year. Woo! Seriously, you get an extra day this year. What are you gonna do with the extra day? You're like, oh, I hadn't thought of that. Well, something to think about, planning. But here's something I wanna ask you about. Number one, I want you to consider subscribing to this channel because we have phenomenal content. Seriously, the jokes alone, sort of, that's just sarcasm right there. But we have great content, great guests, and I know it will really be a blessing to you, and share with your friends, of course. But here's something I want you to think about. Have you ever made any New Year's resolutions, things that you want to do? Well, I think a lot of us do that. We make resolutions, things that we want to do, and we set out, especially at the beginning of the year, to achieve things, to acquire, to accomplish things that we want to do, want to get, want to have. And we're going to talk about that, but first off, I'm going to give you a really bad joke, and then we're going to have some fun with some good content. So that's the method to the madness. Start at a low spot, and then everything goes up from there. That's what the strategy is. So here's your joke. What runs but can't walk? A faucet. You're like, woof, that's stupid.
Yes, it is.
I know, I agree. So let's get on with some really good content. Here's my question for you. What do you want? What do you want? You're like, well, what do you mean, what do I want?
I do not know.
I remember when I was like 15, I wanted a really cool, fast car.
But I love driving fast.
When I was 25, I wanted something different. Now that I've come into my 50s, you know, what do I want? It's interesting. And you think about over time, what do I want? Well, I want to weigh less. I want to travel. I want to da-da-da-da-da. But I think sometimes we have to really consider what we want. And I'm asking you that question because there's a great verse in Job 20, verse 20. And it says, because he kept no quiet in his soul, he did not retain anything he desired. And I think this is a really fascinating verse because the idea is, if you keep quiet, some quiet in your soul, some peace, some calm, some serenity in your soul, if you keep some, then you will retain what you desire. So my question is, what do you want? Because if you want, and I think a lot of times what we want, we don't always appreciate the underneath what we really want. So if we want to look cool, then underneath that, you know, with our clothing, our, you know, size, weight, all that stuff, underneath that is sometimes insecurity, or we want to be accepted, or we want to belong. So I think sometimes we look at the surface, we're like, ooh, I want a cool car because it makes me feel important. I look, you know, I like the rush, I like the excitement of it. But underneath that was I want to have an interesting life. I want to be important. I want to have power. Sometimes underneath things, what we really want is to be in control, right? I want to have the power. And these are questions I think we have to ask ourselves, not just the superficial. What do you want? You know, I want a car, whatever, $1 million.
$1 million.
What do you really want? Because underneath that, what we want, the key to that part is keeping some quiet in our soul. So it's contrary to our common culture. Our common culture is run, scurry, work, achieve, you know, all these things, do, get, work, you know, all this. But I want to say that those things, if we're not careful, we set ourselves on a gerbil wheel, and it's like we're trying to eat a steak and finding the cotton candy evaporates in our mouth. Because we're chase, we're chasing the wind. But we don't really sit and consider, what do I want? What's the core? Because the very source of what I want is connected to keeping some quiet in my soul. So what does it mean to keep quiet in your soul? Well, I would propose to you that keeping quiet in your soul relates to how you connect with Jesus, how you connect with God. Because I think that very deep connection in our souls, in our hearts, as we maintain that deep connection, then we retain what we desire. So I would just challenge you, encourage you for this year that you set the goal. I'm going to keep some quiet. I'm going to nurture, I'm going to prioritize my connection with God on a daily level, not just like in the emergency help crisis, but rather consistently to maintain, to keep the quiet, keep that connection, keep that stillness, keep the shalom in your soul. And as you do, watch God put things into place and watch God resolve and give you and help you to retain what you desire. So as you think about this, here's a question for you to answer. What do you want most this year? Just fill that in right now. Put that in the comments. I really want to see, and I think it'll help you as well, thinking about what do I want. So thank you for subscribing. Of course, share this with your friends. It's really, really good channel. And hit the notification bell right there. Keep you posted when we put up new content. And next week, we're starting a brand new series. I think you'll really like it. And I know that God has some cool things for you. Catch you next week.